What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Saturday, June 1st. Friday went pretty much as well as you could draw it up, guys. We only had a single loss on the day. We went 5-1 overall. The Phillies -1.5 came through. That was at +120, so that one felt pretty great. Orioles -142. That's another win. The Pittsburgh-Toronto under came through despite that game going way into extra innings. They ended up 14 innings into that game, 8 total runs scored. We'll go ahead and cash that one. Oakland-Atlanta under 8.5. That one came through as well. Only 6 runs scored in that game. The Astros -110. The Astros just did not show up in that game, so put that one on the board as a loss, but Seattle -166, that one came through for us. They were leading pretty much the whole game, but then needed a pick off at second base to end up sealing the win for us there by only a single run. Definitely take that. 5-1 day. We'll take those all the time. Great day there. Let's try and keep this momentum going heading into a new month and a full Saturday slate. First, do me a big favor, guys, and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today. We will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Pirates come into this game fresh off of that 5-3 loss there, that very, very long extended extra inning loss. Can't feel good to lose those long games. It never really feels good to lose any game, but that adds a little bit of salt to the wound. The Pirates are 26-31 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Mitch Keller, hoping he can go deep into the game to spare what has to be a pretty fried bullpen. A 4.03 ERA for your bullpen is not something you're going to be super excited about, though, so not freaking out about that. Also, not going to be freaking out about the Pirates hitters. They haven't been amazing lately. They haven't been amazing over the course of this season. They did get off to a hot start back at the very beginning of the year, but right now things are not looking great. 22nd in the majors in runs scored, 25th, batting .229 as a team. Like, not a great offense. Only scored 3 runs in this game. They did score 10 in their last game against the Tigers, but 0 in game 2 of that series. So not super high on the Pirates offense right now. And they need to score some runs here against the Blue Jays, who have now won 4 in a row. Have to be feeling good about themselves. They're up to 27-29 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Yusei Kikuchi, who's 2-4 in the year with a 3.25 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start, guys, against the Tigers. He only lasted 3 innings back on the 26th. He gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, a home run in that outing. Not good, and definitely a departure from what we've generally seen from him this season. Overall, this year he's been pretty good. In his start before this debacle against the Tigers, he went 6 innings, gave up only 2 earned runs to the White Sox. Start before that, he looked very serviceable against the Orioles. Like, this is a guy, he's even shown the ability to go deep into games. He went 8 innings deep against the Minnesota Twins. So this is a guy that's pretty solid, pretty high on him. The Toronto Blue Jays bullpen in general has not been amazing. They're 23rd in the majors with a bullpen ERA of 4.22, so not great there, but their bats are seeming to come alive a little bit. I mean, they've scored 5, 3, 7, and 5 runs over their last 4. And I mean, some of those, 3 of those games are against the White Sox, so take that with a little grain of salt, but they're moving in the right direction. I mean, they are 8th in the majors with a team on-base percentage of .316, so there's some hope there for the Toronto Blue Jays offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Pirates at +140, the Blue Jays at -148. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game, which I'm not super interested in the over-under given how fried the bullpen's going to be. I mean, I honestly feel like the players, just everybody on both these rosters has to be a little bit fried after going 14 innings deep into a game. Like, that's a lot. I'm kind of going to be staying away from this game in general since there are too many unknowns. I lean slightly towards the Blue Jays -148 on the hopes that Kikuchi will have some sort of bounce back, but in general, guys, this is not going to be a game that I'm betting. Next on the docket, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles. The Rays took the 3-1 loss in game 1 of this series, so thanks to the Rays for losing that game. Thanks to Baltimore to coming away with the win. The Rays are 28-30 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Taj Bradley. He's 1-2 on the year with a 3.13 ERA, coming off of a fantastic start, guys, against the Royals. He went 5 innings, so not crazy deep, but gave only a single hit while striking out 6 and walking 3. Definitely a better outing than his start against the Red Sox, where he gave up 6 hits and 5 earned runs over 10 innings. He gave up 2 home runs in that game, so he's looking good coming off of a good start, but he's also shown the ability to give up some home runs, which is a big problem going up against the Baltimore Orioles. The Rays offense in this game and like just in general recently hasn't looked terrible, but they haven't looked great. I mean, only 1 running this the first game of this series, so that's not amazing. And in general, not super high on the Tampa Bay Rays bullpen. They've got a bullpen ERA of 4.25, which puts them 24th in the majors. not great there. So definitely some question marks for us from the Tampa Bay Rays side. And looking at the Orioles, they come into this game winners of 2 in a row, and they've been playing really, really well lately. They're 36-19 on the season, so nothing wrong with that. Handing the ball in this game to Kyle Brandish, he's 1-0 on the year with a 1.75 ERA, coming off of a dazzling start against the White Sox, guys. Some pitchers seem like they take a day off against the White Sox. Brandish absolutely did not. He went 7 innings, gave up no hits, walked 4, and struck out 11. Shutout performance over 7 innings with double-digit strikeouts. That is just elite stuff out there. And honestly, his last 5 starts have all been very, very good. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any of them, so he is throwing the ball absolutely great right now, and the Baltimore Orioles offense is humming right along. I mean, only 3 runs in game 1 of this series is not the norm for them, but this is one of the best slugging percentage teams in the majors, so lots of positive things to say about this offense. I mean, we see Gunnar Henderson absolutely killing it. Like, this is a very good team. They've also got a solid bullpen backing everything up there. The Orioles are top 7 in the majors with a 3.28 bullpen ERA. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Rays at plus 145, the Orioles at minus 158. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. We see Tampa Bay is only 11-12 on the road, and Baltimore is 20-11 at home. Guys, we're going to be on the Baltimore Orioles in this game once again for sure. There we see Taj Bradley likely to give some home runs in this one, and yeah, with the Orioles looking so good lately, I think this is a no-brainer. I mean, Baltimore's 20-11 at home. Like, this is a very good spot for a very good team. I don't know if I'm quite brave enough to go against the run line, but minus 158 will definitely work for me. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Diamondbacks took the 10-9 loss in game 2 of this series. They're now on a 5-game losing streak, 25-32 on the season, handing the ball to Blake Walston, hoping he can stop the bleeding here. He is yet to figure in a result this season. He's sporting a 2.16 ERA. He's going to be making his 3rd appearance of the year, his 2nd start, so kind of been all over the place. I mean, he's faced opposite ends of the spectrum, guys. He faced the Dodgers and went 3 2/3 innings and gave up 2 earned runs out of the bullpen. Then he started back on the 26th against the Marlins, where he went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and no runs. So he looked decent in that one, but man, cannot have a ton of faith in a guy that's just, been out there very, very little this season. He's a big left-hander. He hasn't shown a ton of control issues. I mean, he did walk 4 against the Dodgers in only 3 2/3 innings, so I take that back. He has shown some significant control issues, so it's definitely some question marks there. The Arizona bullpen in general, not one that I am necessarily super high on, considering the fact they are 25th in the majors with a 4.27 ERA, and this offense also hasn't looked amazing lately. I mean, they did just score 9 runs, but before that, they'd scored 2, 1, 2, and 1 run respectively. So, like, not a very good offensive team at the moment. Although they've been decent over the course of the year, most of those numbers are trending in a negative direction. So not a lot of positive things to say about that. They're taking on the New York Mets, who come into this game fresh off of back-to-back wins. Very, very much needed those wins there. They've been having a hard time. They're only 24-33 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Sean Manaea, who's kind of been a bright spot for them, guys. He's 3-1 on the year with a 3.16 ERA, coming off of yet another very solid start. He went up against the Giants, not a bad hitting team. He put up 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs allowed. He did give up a home run in that game, but he struck out 6, and it was also a game that we saw the Mets win. The Mets, despite having a hard time overall this season, are actually 4-1 over his last 5 starts. So that's definitely some positive news there for Mets fans, of a group that's been starved for positive news this season, that's for sure. The Mets bullpen has been not too hot, guys. I mean, they're sporting a 4.12 bullpen ERA, so that's not great. Their offense in general has come alive a little bit. I mean, obviously scoring 10 runs has to feel great. Not something we've seen the Mets do a ton this season. I mean, they're 20th in the majors in runs scored, 21st in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 305 clip. So not a ton of positive things to say about the Mets offense overall, but they haven't been terrible, and coming off a game they scored 10 runs, so you would hope they could put up a little bit of something here in the game after that. So the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at plus 115, the Mets at minus 126. We got an over-under of 8 in this game. Arizona was only 12-17 on the road, so not a very good road team. The Mets are 13-19 at home, so obviously not a great home team, but it seems like they're trending in a positive direction. Guys, if you wanted to take a taste here of the Mets minus 126, I don't have any problem with that. I'm not sure if this is going to end up in the pinned comment for us on a pretty deep slate. We'll just have to wait and see, but it's definitely a possibility. I think the Mets minus 126 is a super reasonable play. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The White Sox coming to this game, lost another one, guys. They've lost 9 straight now. They're handing the ball in this one to Garrett Crochet, who he's kind of been good at times this year. I mean, he's been very good at times, don't get me wrong, but he's not been good enough to really keep this team above water. Obviously, he's 5-5 in the year with a 3.68 ERA, coming off a very good start against the Baltimore Orioles, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 11. He looked great out there. We actually see the lowly White Sox are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, so he's doing absolutely everything he can, but man, sometimes it's just not enough. Looking at the White Sox bullpen in general, we can see that they are almost the worst bullpen in the majors, guys, with a bullpen ERA of 4.41. So Crochet is going to have to eat up a lot of innings to give this team a chance. And the White Sox offense, not going to waste a ton of time talking about them, guys. This is the worst offense in the major leagues. They are coming off of a game where they scored 5 runs, but they lost 12-5. So I don't think the Brewers were exactly, at 100% out there trying to mow these guys down when they've got a massive lead like that. So not super high on the White Sox for very obvious reasons. They're taking on a Brewers team that's playing well. They've now won 3 in a row. We saw Yelich get 5 hits against the White Sox. He's absolutely killing it right now. So this team is swinging some pretty hot bats. They've scored 10, 6, and 12 runs over their last 3 games. So yeah, no notes here for the Milwaukee Brewers offense. They're going nuts right now. Robert Gasser is on the mound for them. Elite name. I know I say that every time, but it's just an amazing name for a pitcher. He's 2-0 on the season with a 1.96 ERA coming off of a shutout against the Cubs. He went 6 innings in that outing, gave up 3 hits, no runs, and struck out 7. He also didn't walk anyone. He only has 1 walk over 4 starts this season. Like, the dude is looking absolutely crazy out there, throwing the ball great, and he's got the best offense, or one of the best offenses, not the best, one of the best offenses in the majors behind him. They've also got a fantastic bullpen, guys. The Milwaukee Brewers bullpen ERA is 3.25, so that's looking very, very good, and this offense is clearly top 5 in the majors. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Brewers at -148, the White Sox at +130. We got an over-under in this game of 7.5. We see the White Sox are terrible on the road. They're only 5-22 on the road. Milwaukee is 16-10 at home. Yeah, guys, I don't know about this one. I mean, it's a little sketchy going against Crochet. He can only do so much out there. Eventually, the bullpen is going to end up in this game. We might not get this one into the pinned comment. I think the Brewers are in a decent spot to win this game, but going against Crochet just seems like a little bit much to me. I mean, we're really banking on the Brewers to score runs against the bullpen, and while that doesn't feel bad, and I don't expect the White Sox to score many runs, I don't know if we can really justify putting the Brewers in there at -148. I really wish the White Sox had a worse pitcher out there, and we could just take the Brewers -1.5 and get it at around like 120 or 130 or something like that. But yeah, this spot for the Brewers, a little bit questionable. We'll just have to check that pinned comment and see if they make it in there. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of a Game 2 loss where they lost 7-3. They're now 1-1 in the series, 28-29 on the season. Handing the ball to Reese Olson. He's 1-5 on the year, guys, but he is sporting a 1.92 ERA. This poor guy just can't seem to get any help out there. I mean, his last time out, he got the win 2-1. We saw the Toronto Blue Jays not have a good time against him at all. He went 6 1/3, gave up 3 hits, only a single run, which was unearned. He walked 3, which isn't great, and struck out 4, but he's just been looking very, very good. He did have that weird start. It might have been a weather-shortened start. I'm not 100% sure, where he only went 2 2/3 innings against the Royals, but yeah, he's been absolutely dealing this season. You just can't count on any run support here from the Tigers offense, and in general, their bullpen hasn't been great, has been terrible. They're 13th in the majors with a 3.82 bullpen ERA, but this offense, guys, just not good. 17th in the majors in runs scored. They've scored 3, 5, 2, 8. Like, this offense isn't great. They did have that game where they scored 14 runs against the Blue Jays, so we'll give them some credit for that, but not a whole ton. Piling up that many runs against Toronto in that spot, it was a 14-11 game. Like, things were going nuts. So not super high on the Tigers offense. They're taking on the Boston Red Sox, who obviously just got the win in Game 2 of this series, but they're only 29-29 on the season. They did come alive, I guess we'll say, for 7 runs, so we'll give them credit there. They're hitting the ball in this game to Cooper Criswell, who's 2-2 on the year with a 3.96 ERA, coming off of a terrible outing against the Orioles, guys. He gave up 7 earned runs on 7 hits over 4 innings of work. He didn't give up a home run and still gave up that many runs. Like, not a great outing, and he hasn't been having the best time lately over his last 5 starts, so not super high on Criswell in this game in general. I mean, he just hasn't looked like he looked there in the early goings, and the Red Sox bullpen, guys, is a dumpster fire. They've got a 4.33 bullpen ERA. That's 27th in the majors. Not a good bullpen. Not excited about that for them, and also not super excited about this offense. I mean, they did just score 7 runs, but prior to that, they got shut out. Prior to that, they only scored 1 run. Like, this team is not swinging the hottest bats. They're 14th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors, so exactly league average in both on base percentage and batting average. Like, not an elite offense, if you ask me. Looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Tigers at -110, the Red Sox at +102, and we've got an over-under in this game of 8.5. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Tigers in this game in general. I mean, at minus 110, that seems like a pretty reasonable price. I think Olsen is definitely due for some like positive variance in his like run support, so that helps a little bit. But guys, I don't have enough faith in either one of these teams going one way or the other, so this is very, very unlikely to end up anywhere near the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The Twins come into this game fresh off of a Game 1 win. They won 6-1. So the Twins are up to 32-25 on the season, taking on Joe Ryan in this game, who's 4-3 on the year with a 2.96 ERA, coming off a dazzling start, a couple of dazzling starts, honestly. He's only given up a single earned run over his last 14 innings of work. Both of those games were wins for the Twins. They won 10-0 against the Nationals and 6-5 against the Royals. So he's been looking very, very good out there. And yeah, in general, lots of things to feel positive about for Minnesota right now. I mean, this team is really figuring some stuff out. Their bullpen isn't amazing. I mean, they're 22nd in the majors with a 4.14 bullpen ERA, but this offense has been picking things up. They've scored 6, 7, 1, 4, and 6 runs over their last 5 games. Like, that'll definitely work. They're 12th in the majors in runs scored. They're only 21st in team batting average, but that number is trending upwards a little bit. We see their on-base percentage at 306, but that number is also trending up, and this is a pretty good slugging percentage team, guys. They're up almost to 400 slugging percentage, so this is a pretty solid hitting team. They're going to need to score some runs, continue to score some runs going up against the Astros, who, man, it seems like they're falling apart again, guys. I mean, they're only 1-4 over their last 5 games. They're down to 25-33 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this game to Framber Valdez, hoping he can like stem the tide. He's 3-3 on the year with a 4.34 ERA, coming off of a couple of pretty mediocre starts. I mean, he, against the Mariners, his last time out, he did go 6 innings. We gave up 3 earned runs on 6 hits to the Mariners. That's not an elite outing. Start before that, he got absolutely shelled by the Angels. So yeah, we've got some questions about how Framber Valdez is looking out there on the mound right now. Not a ton of positives. I mean, the Astros bullpen has been very good. They're 8th in the majors with a 3.33 bullpen ERA. So that's something to take into consideration. But this team, for some reason, guys, they just can't score runs. They lost 6-1 in this game, so 1 run, 4 runs in their lone win in that 4-game series against Seattle. Like, just not having a great time. 1, 2, and 2 runs over the rest of that series. This team, they're 9th in the majors in runs scored somehow, 1st in the majors in batting average. They've been 1st in the majors in batting average for almost the entire season, but this team just manages to not score runs somehow. So looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Twins at plus 110, the Astros at minus 118. That's pretty surprising. We've got an over-under in this game of 8. We see Minnesota is 16-12 on the road. That's pretty respectable. Houston is 14-16 at home, so not an amazing home record. We see both teams showing some trends to the under, but guys, I'm not really interested in the under in this game. I am significantly interested in the Twins plus 110, though. I think they find a way to get this win. Joe Ryan has been pretty good out there. Obviously, the Twins bullpen, not the best, but man, Houston just not finding a way to score runs, and I don't have a lot of faith in them right now. So give me the Twins plus 110 in this one with a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. Oakland comes into this game losers of 3 in a row. They lost game 1 of this series 4-2. They're 23-36 on the year, so not having a great time as you would have expected for this team this season especially. They're hitting the ball in this game to Aaron Brooks. He's 0-2 on the year with a 3.63 ERA. He's going to be making his 4th start of the season. He's actually looked fairly serviceable out there. I mean, his last outing against the Astros didn't look great. He only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 runs. Only one of them was earned somehow, though, so, I mean, we'll give him some credit there. But his other starts, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, and then went 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. So he's looked decent out there. He's definitely coming off a bad start. Like, don't get me wrong about that. But overall, we're not feeling terrible about having him on the mound. And in general, guys, we do have some concerns about the Oakland Athletics bullpen. I mean, their bullpen ERA is 4.29. That is 26th in the majors, so not amazing in the bullpen. And obviously, this is one of the lower-rated offensive teams in the majors. 28th in the majors in on-base percentage, 26th in the majors in runs scored. Like, this is not a team you can trust to put up a ton of runs. Over the last few games, they've scored 2, 5, and 3 runs respectively, so nothing crazy. Not a team that's hitting the ball particularly well, and they're going to need to figure something out here against the Atlanta Braves, who just won 4-2 in game 1. They're up to 32-23 in the season, and they've got to be pumped to hand the ball to Chris Sale, who's 8-1 on the year with a 2.12 ERA, guys. He looked nuts against the Pirates his last time out. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. He hasn't given up a home run over his last 5 outings. He's only walked a total of 2 hitters over those last 5 outings. He struck out at least 8 in each one of those games. Like, dude is looking absolutely insane. He hasn't necessarily faced the toughest opponents during this little run here, but man, who really cares when you're putting up those kind of numbers? He's mowing down everybody that gets put in front of him. The Braves are sporting a top 10 bullpen ERA of 3.47, so that's respectable. The Braves are also hitting the ball a little bit. I mean, not great, guys. They had a pretty rough time there against the Nationals, and they only won 4-2 in game one of this series, but they are due to come back alive a little bit. I mean, Acuna being out, that's not a good look for anybody. Like, that's not a good look for the Braves, but they're figuring things out, or at least they're going to. They're 8th in the majors in batting average still, 16th in runs scored, 7th in on-base percentage, and they're going up against a guy that really hasn't had the best time out there. And in general, guys, I'm kind of tending to look towards the Braves against the run line in this game, because right now that number at Atlanta minus 300, not super appealing to me. It looks like we pretty much have to take the Braves at minus 1.5 or minus 2.5 to get any sort of normal price. If you take a minus 1.5, you can get them at minus 140, and that's relatively appealing to me. I think you could also look at the under in this game. I have some concerns about Aaron Brooks giving up a ton of runs here, so I think probably my side in this game is going to be the under or the Braves minus 1.5. You'll have to check back and see if either one of those ends up in the pinned comment. I think both of them have reasonable value with the Braves not swinging the hottest bats, so we'll just have to check back and see where this one ends up. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Padres coming to this game fresh off of an 11-8 win there in game one of this series. Had to feel good for them, I'm sure, to go into Kansas City and get a win. They're hitting the ball in game two to Joe Musgrove. He's 3-4 in the season with a 5.66 ERA. He is coming off of a couple of pretty decent starts. I mean, he had back-to-back good starts, one good start and then one very short start against the Reds, but his last time out back on the 26th, he looked great against the Yankees. I mean, he did give up 6 hits over 5 1/3, but only a single earned run, so being able to get yourself out of trouble is a very, very nice skill to have as a major league pitcher. I mean, he struck out 5 and walked none, so he wasn't putting himself behind the 8 ball with walks, and in general, guys, looking at the San Diego bullpen, they've been pretty middle of the road. I mean, a 3.90 ERA is not awful, but also not great. It puts them very close to league average. This offense just had like an 11-run outburst, so we'll give them credit for that, but in general, they've been struggling a little bit. I mean, they won 11-8, but the game before that, they lost 9-1. Game before that, they scored 4 runs. Game before that, 2. Like, they're just not really firing on all cylinders. They're getting something done. Like, they're getting some runs across the plate, but man, on paper, you would just think this would be a great offense. They're 4th in batting average, batting .255 as a team. They're 6th in on base percentage, getting on base at a 321 clip. Like, this should be a great offensive team, and it just does not feel like it right now. They're going to need to get things going here against the Kansas City Royals, who have happened upon some hard times, guys. We've seen the Royals actually lose 5 of their last 6 games overall to fall to 35-24. Some of that hot hitting has cooled down. They're hitting the ball to Alec Marsh in this game. He's 4-2 on the season with a 3.24 ERA, but coming off not his best start ever, guys. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs against the Minnesota Twins. He was pitching on the road in that game, and that hasn't been the best spot to be for the Royals in general. I mean, they've been a much better home team than a road team, but yeah, definitely some question marks there about the Kansas City Royals right now. I mean, they're still sporting a top 10 bullpen in the MLB. I mean, bullpen ERA of 3.35, that will definitely work. This team just kind of struggling a little bit. It's weird. I mean, they're scoring some runs. The pitching staff struggled a little bit. Like, just all kinds of odd stuff, not really breaking their way. I mean, we saw Singer have to miss that start, and like, yeah, just some odd stuff. They're still 4th in the majors in runs scored and 7th in the majors in team batting average. So not time to like ring the alarm bells here for the Royals. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Padres at minus 115, the Royals at plus 102. We've got over-unders in this game showing of 8.5 or 9, so both numbers are out there. We do see the Royals are a very good home team. They're 21-9 at home, but the Padres are 17-10 on the road, which is nothing to scoff at. So looking at the which side to go with in this game, I'm tending to lean a little bit towards the Royals. I mean, I don't have a lot of faith here in Musgrove. He's been facing some pretty weak opponents, with the exception of the Yankees, but I feel like he got kind of lucky to get out of that game. So go ahead and give me the Royals plus 102 and a small bounce back spot in this game. But yeah, guys, don't think this one's going in the pinned comment. Next up on deck, guys, we've got the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. We saw the Rangers take the 8-2 loss in game 1 of this series, so that cannot feel great. Not exactly what you want to be doing against the Marlins. This team is only 27-30 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Michael Lorenzen. He's 2-3 on the year with a 3.35 ERA. He had to leave his start on Saturday against the Twins due to cramping in his knee. God, that probably did not feel great. I mean, we'll see. He's about to be back out there on the mound. He looked good against the Twins, like in the innings that he was able to pitch. He went 6 innings, so he went pretty deep in the game before having to get pulled, but man, a cramp in your knee, not a good time. 6 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run. He's been looking very, very good over his last 3 starts, ever since getting shelled by the the Oakland A's back on the 8th. He's looked very, very good in starts against Cleveland, the Angels, and the Twins. So definitely going to be looking at Lorenzen as a plus level starter here for the Texas Rangers in this game. And in general, guys, the Rangers bullpen has been a bit below average. They're sporting a bullpen ERA of 4.04, so not great, but not in the bottom 2/3 of the league at least. This offense hasn't really been looking amazing. I mean, they just scored 2 runs in game 1 of the series. Against the Diamondbacks, they looked good, scoring 6 and 4 runs, but that's not really amazing production. Not what we saw from this team in the early goings this season. They're still 11th in the majors in runs scored and 11th in the majors getting on base at a 313 clip, so that's pretty respectable, but their league average and slugging percentage, like, this is not an offense that I'm super scared of. And in general, guys, they're probably not scared of the Marlins. I mean, Miami hasn't been a good team all season long, but they're figuring some things out all of a sudden, it looks like. I mean, winning 8-2 in this game, they won 9-1 in game 3 of their series against the San Diego Padres. Like, this isn't going to be a great team this season, obviously, guys, but it's nice to see them showing some fight. They're handing the ball in this game to Ryan Weathers, who's 3-4 on the year with a 3.16 ERA. He's coming off a fantastic start against the Diamondbacks where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs. He struck out 7 and walked 1, so very positive things for him. I mean, there's some exciting young arms on this roster for sure. We also see the Marlins bullpen is excellent, guys. Their bullpen is sporting an ERA of 3.15, which is the 4th best in the major leagues. If this offense can come alive, they can reel off some wins. Like, I don't think they're going to be doing anything important this season, but man, maybe they're building up a little bit of a future here. It's a little bit early to say that, but hey, I hope so. It's always better when teams are playing better, and looking at this offense, they've been playing a little bit better over the last couple games for sure. I mean, combining for 17 runs over 2 games, nothing to turn your nose up at. They are 28th in the majors in runs scored, though, and 29th in the majors in on-base percentage. So I'm not really expecting long-term miracles from this offense, but in general, they've been looking pretty good right now. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Rangers at -125, the Marlins at +115. We see over-unders of 7.5, 8, and 8.5 out there, and guys, this is kind of a weird spot for these two teams. I'm a little bit surprised that this is where my head's at, but I'm looking at the under in this game. I mean, Miami's been an over team, but no real reason behind that. The Rangers have been an under team for sure. They're 33, 22, and 2 to the under this year. And yeah, Lorenzen is pitching really well. We see Ryan Weathers pitching great too. So with 2 very good starters out there and 1 very good bullpen at least, I think offense is going to be at a premium this game, guys. Go ahead and give me the under 8.5. I don't think we're going to see a ton of runs across the plate in this one. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Nationals coming to this game fresh off of a 7-1 loss there in game 1. We saw CJ Abrams faceplant trying to get that ground ball. That was pretty funny yesterday. So, I mean, you know, stuff like that's going to happen. You play enough Major League Baseball games or just enough baseball games in your life. But the Nationals are 26-30 on the season, handing the ball in this one to Mitchell Parker, who's 4-2 on the year with a 3.45 ERA, coming off a pretty solid start there against the Atlanta Braves. Not amazing, but we'll give him solid for sure. He's given up 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, and actually in 4 of his last 5 starts overall. We do see the Nationals have won his last 2 outings, so that's something to take into consideration, but it seems like you can pretty much pencil this guy in for 5 to 6 innings and about 3 runs allowed. So, I mean, not great, not terrible, not something we're going to write home about, though, in general. We also see the Nationals bullpen, also not something we're necessarily going to throw a parade for. I mean, they're exactly league average with a 3.88 ERA, so that's fine. Not great, though. We do see the Nationals coming off of a 1-run performance for their offense, which hasn't been the best, guys. This team is 24th in the majors in runs scored. They've scored 1, 3, 7, 0, and 8 runs over their last 5 games, so not terrible. I mean, they had a pretty good series there, winning 3 out of 4 against the Atlanta Braves, and they are 26-30 on the year, but they might have their work cut out for them here with the Cleveland Guardians, who come into this game winners of 2 of their last 3. They're up to 38-19 on the season, so that probably feels pretty good. They're handing the ball in this game to Ben Lively, who comes into this one with a 4-2 record and a 2.80 ERA, coming off a good start against the Angels. We also see that the Guardians are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, but anyway, guys, his last time out, which was on the road at the Angels, he went 7 innings, gave 2 earned runs on 4 hits. He did give up a home run in that outing, so, you know, we'll take that into consideration here a little bit, but in general, he looked very, very good. And yeah, things are kind of rounding into form here for Cleveland. I mean, this team has had its ups and downs, it's had its injuries. Its bullpen is looking pretty decent, almost a top 10 bullpen, and they've got to be very, very excited here to see Quan back after his stint on the IL. Seems like he's back and ready to go, and in general, I expect this offense to kind of pick up with his arrival back into the lineup. I mean, they're 3rd in the majors still in runs scored. Their team batting average did take a significant dip all the way down to slightly below league average, but overall, guys, this is a very, very good offensive team. And Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Guardians at -150, the Nationals at +140. We see Cleveland is 19-6 at home. We see Washington is 16-17 on the road. And guys, I'm kind of expecting a little bit of a downturn here for the Washington Nationals. I mean, they've had some good stints, but I do not think this series at Cleveland is going to be a very fun time for them. Give me the Cleveland Guardians -150 in this game. I'm expecting another solid start here from Ben Lively, and I think the Guardians easily get things done in this game. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. We saw the Angels take that 5-4 loss in game 1 of this series. They've now lost 3 in a row, and they've lost 6 of the last 7 overall, defaulted 21-36 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Reed Detmers, hoping he can get things back on track, but he's only 3-5 on the year with a 5.76 ERA, and he's coming off of a, we'll give him decent, I guess, start against the Guardians. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 4 hits. He struck out 8, but also walked 4 in that game, and he's had some control issues over the course of his last 5 starts, and yeah, he's just not having the best time lately. I mean, even against the Cardinals and the Royals, he had pretty bad outings. So yeah, not super high here on Reed Detmers. And in general, guys, looking at the Angels bullpen, they've been one of the worst in the majors with a 4.39 ERA. That puts them 28th in the majors. Like, this is not a bullpen that's having a great time, and it's not really an offense that's having a great time either, guys. They've scored 4, 3, 1, 4, and 4 runs over their last 5 games. So not swinging the hottest bats. I mean, they're not terrible, don't get me wrong. This is probably going to be just a slightly below average offense, you know, in terms of overall production this season, but they're 18th in runs scored, 10th in slugging percentage, but they're down to 24th in the majors and on base percentage. That will hurt you. That's going to get you every time. So they're going to need to figure something out here against the Mariners, who come into this game fresh off of that game 1 win. Thank you for that one, Mariners. We'll take that one, put it on the board. They're 32-27 on the season, handing the ball to Bryce Miller in this game. He's 4-5 on the year with a 3.48 ERA, coming off of a good start against the Astros. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. Not a bad outing. It was a nice little bounce back from a rough start there against the Yankees, and the poor guy's been facing some pretty tough teams, guys. He's faced the Astros twice, he faced the Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. He had a very good start back on the 11th against the Oakland A's, so we'll definitely give him credit for that one, but he's had to face some really tough hitting teams, and the question in this one is going to be whether or not the Angels actually qualify as a tough hitting team. I would argue that they probably don't. We've seen the Seattle Mariners bullpen be slightly above average, not as good as their starting pitching, but definitely not terrible. The Mariners offense in general has not been great this season. I mean, 28th in the majors in runs scored, but they have scored 5, 0, 2, 4, and 3 runs over their last few games. And they did have a 9-run outburst there against the Washington Nationals. So this team is showing they can put up a little bit of offense here, but is it enough to justify them being -164 in this game? That seems a little tough to me. The Angels are +150. I mean, I don't like the Angels with Detmers out there on the mound. I'm definitely leaning towards the Seattle Mariners in this game. The over-under in this one's only 7.5, so I'm not interested in that. But go ahead and give me the Mariners -164. It's not the best price out there, guys, so we'll have to wait and see if this is, you know, a spot we might actually put in the pinned comment. Seems like an expensive price here for the Mariners with Bryce Miller on the mound, though. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. We saw the Reds get the 5-4 win there in game 1 of this series. Had to feel pretty good about that. There was a bad send. The Cubs third base coach is trying to take all the blame for this loss, but man, I think it's a little bit up to the runner at least. Like, but whatever. They lost. Things move on. The Reds come into this game 25-32 on the year. Can't feel great about that. They're handing the ball in this one to Hunter Green, who's 3-2 on the season with a 3.06 ERA. His last time out, he looked dominant against the LA Dodgers of all teams. The Dodgers have had their weird struggles with the Reds this season, so whatever. But he did give 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, no home runs allowed, and struck out 5 against the Dodgers. So that is a solid start no matter what way you cut it. He also had a good start at the very beginning of this month against the Baltimore Orioles. So just in general, we've seen Hunter Green look very, very good this, you know, over his last 5 starts and especially this last month. So he's hoping he can get into June doing well too. In general, looking at the Cincinnati Reds bullpen, it hasn't been great, slightly below average there, but not terrible. So not going to freak out about that. This offense, though, guys, has been a problem. We see Elly De La Cruz leading the way for them, batting only .244. This team is 21st in the majors in runs scored. They're 26th in the majors, getting on base at under 300. This team over their last few games has scored 5, 3, 1, 3, and 4 runs. Like, not terrible. I guess, but also not great. This is not a plus level offense in my book, and I don't think really in anyone's book right now. They're going to need to score some runs here against the Chicago Cubs, but maybe not too many. The Cubs are now on a 3-game losing streak, so that probably sucks for them. They're down to 28-30 on the year, handing the ball in this one to Justin Steele, who he's 0-2 on the season with a 4.45 ERA, but he's coming off a very good start against the Milwaukee Brewers. We do see the Cubs are 0-5 in his last 5 starts, but man, against the Brewers, he was great. He went 7 innings, gave 3 hits, no runs. He struck out 8 and walked 1, but no run support for him there, so not a whole lot he could do. The Cubs bullpen in general, guys, has been hovering right around league average. They're maybe slightly better than league average, but not a great, but not a terrible bullpen. And the Cubs offense has really kind of been their problem. I mean, they have scored 4, 4, and 6 runs over their last 3 games, but there's a reason this team is only 17th in the majors in on-base percentage and 26th in the majors in team batting average. They're only batting .228 as a team, guys. That is not a great number, not something you're going to be very excited about. So not super high on the Cubs offense right now. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Reds at plus 118, the Cubs at minus 134. I have no idea why this game is like this, guys. I do not enjoy betting on the Cincinnati Reds this season, at least not here in the mid part of the season. In the early goings, it was nice, but regardless, guys, this just seems like too good of a spot. We're going to be on the Cincinnati Reds plus 118. I have no faith in what's going on with the Chicago Cubs right now. Do I have a ton of faith in what's going on with the Cincinnati Reds? I guess not, but getting them at plus 118 with Hunter Green on the mound, who's been looking great lately, definitely seems like a good spot to me. Next up, guys, we got the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Cardinals come into this game fresh off of a 4-2 loss in Game 1 of this series. We were on the Phillies minus 1.5, so we'll definitely take that one. The Cardinals are 27-28 on the year. They've been coming on strong here lately. They're handing the ball to their ace in this game. They're handing it to Sonny Gray, who's 7-2 on the year. They 2.60 ERA coming off of a good start against the Cubs. He only lasted 5 innings in that game, a little bit less than his norm, but he only gave a single hit, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, nothing wrong with that. We see the Cardinals are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, with the only loss being that weird one where he got shelled by the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cardinals bullpen, though, has been pretty bad. They're 20th in the majors in bullpen ERA, so that's not great. The offense has been coming on here a little bit, but yeah, guys, I mean, only 2 runs in Game 1 of this series. They're facing a much tougher team than they're used to, so it'll be interesting to see what this offense can do here. They're still 27th in the majors in runs scored. We see Newbar is now on the IL with an oblique strain, so it's a little bit concerning. Not a death knell for this team or anything like that, but there's a reason they're 14th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is not necessarily an elite offensive team, and they're going to have to score some runs here going up against the Phillies, who now are 40-18 on the season, handing the ball to Ranger Suarez, who finally looked like a mortal man, getting knocked around his last time out by the Colorado Rockies. I don't know, guys, maybe he just wasn't taking that start all the way seriously or something like that, but he just didn't seem like he had it. He walked 4 in that outing, gave up a home run, like, just didn't seem to be his normal dominant self. He has kind of had the benefit of not facing too many tough opposing offenses, but I don't really count the Cardinals as a tough opposing offense necessarily. He's also gotten a good amount of run support, but you know, if you're pitching for the Phillies, you can expect some run support, so we'll give him credit for that for sure. Looking at the Phillies bullpen, it's very good, and obviously the Phillies offense is elite, guys. This is one of the best offenses in baseball, scoring 299 runs so far this season. That is tops in the majors. They're second in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, this is definitely a team you can trust to put up some runs. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Cardinals at plus 128, the Phillies at minus 140. We got an over-under in this game of 7.5. Guys, honestly, we've got both teams showing trends to the under. The Cardinals and I mean, the Phillies' trends isn't huge, but we also see the Phillies are 23-8 at home. The Cardinals are only 14-16 on the road, but with Sonny Gray out there, it feels pretty tough to bet against the Cardinals, but I think that's what we're going to have to do with Suarez out there on the mound. I think under 7.5 is definitely in play, but guys, I'm going to be on the Phillies minus 140. I do think this is likely to be a low-scoring game, but I'm also very unlikely to be on this game. Betting against Sonny Gray just has not been a winning proposition this season, so go ahead and give me the Phillies minus 140 as a small lean, but it's pretty much going to be no bet from me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. We see the Yankees come into this game fresh off of a Game 1, a 6-2 Game 1 win. They've won 3 in a row now. They're up to 40-19 on the season, but they're handing the ball in this game to Cody Poteet. He is going to be making his first start of the season, or I guess it's actually his second start of the season. He did make a spot start a couple of months ago, but he's getting called up from AAA to make this start, so we'll see how he looks. I mean, earlier this season, he looked very, very good in a spot start at Cleveland, where he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, and a single earned run, so we'll see how he fares out there today. I mean, likely to have to see a good dose here of the Yankees bullpen, but it's been tops in the majors, guys. Best bullpen in the majors with a 2.95 ERA, so definitely give them some credit there. And the Yankees bats have obviously been amazing. They've scored 6, 8, and 2 runs over their last 3 games. They're up to 40 and 19 on the season, so absolutely killing it. We're seeing Judge go crazy. I mean, this whole team, this is a murderer's row of hitters, guys. Judge is up to 20 home runs, batting .282 on the season, so nothing wrong with that. Yankees have to be feeling great right now, going up against the Giants, who have now lost 2 in a row, but they're 29 and 29 on the season, so that's not elite, but not terrible. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Logan Webb, who's 4 and 4 in the year with a 2.74 ERA, coming off a great start against the Mets. I mean, it was the Mets, guys, but we'll give them some credit for that one. I mean, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, and it wasn't even earned. The start for that, he looked very good against the Pirates. Start for that, he looked elite, absolutely dominant against the LA Dodgers, so that's definitely something to look at. Unfortunately for this poor guy, it seems like he never gets any run support, so it'll be interesting to see if the Giants can at least get to a AAA level pitcher in this game, and their bullpen has been elite. I mean, San Francisco bullpen posting an ERA of 3.12, so that is dominant for sure. One of the best bullpens in the majors. Their hitters have been in a little bit of a slump over, we'll say, the last 3 games at least. I mean, they've scored 2, 1, and 1 runs over their last 3 games, but this offense has, been pretty decent. It's been coming on here lately. I mean, this last 3 games, obviously not great, but other than that, very, very good. Batting .247 as a team is 10th in the majors. Getting on base at a .315 mark is also 10th in the majors. Like, this is a pretty decent offense right now, so we're expecting them to figure out a way to score some runs here against the Yankees. The question is, will it be enough? Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Yankees at plus 100, the Giants at minus 120. We've got an over-under in this game of 8. Guys, in general, in this one, I'm leaning towards the Giants minus 120. I don't know if I have enough faith here in Webb to just really carry the day for them. I mean, the Yankees have been hitting the ball well, but I feel like they're due for some sort of regression here, and that makes me lean towards the Giants a little bit. San Francisco is 17 and 11 at home, but the Yankees are 21 and 11 on the road, so that kind of cancels each other out, or maybe even makes me lean towards the Yankees, but I just don't know what to expect here from the Yankees starter, so give me a slight lean towards the Giants, I guess, but no real bet on this one for me. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Rockies come into this game fresh off of another win, guys. They just started off this series with a 4-1 win. They've won their last 2 in a row, and actually have won 4 of 5 overall. They're only 21 and 35 in the season, though. Handing the ball in this one to Cal Quantrill. He's 4 and 3 in the season with a 3.53 ERA. He's coming off of a 5th very good start in a row. He's got solid starts over that span against the Phillies, the A's, the San Diego Padres, the Giants, and the Pirates. Like, this dude has been absolutely dealing over his last 5 starts. No real notes for me here. I mean, his last time out against the Phillies, giving up 2 earned runs on 3 hits over 6 innings. That will definitely work. That's very solid work out there. And in general, the Rockies bullpen has not looked great, guys. They're actually the worst bullpen in the majors with a 4.48 ERA. So not super encouraging, but hey, they've been finding a way to make things work here lately. So give them some credit there. And the offense has been producing. I mean, they've scored 4, 7, 7, 8, and 5 runs over their last 5 games. That's fantastic. I mean, this team is 9th in the majors in batting average. They've been around a top 10 batting average team all season long. And if you're making contact there at Coors Field, you know some good things are going to happen. Obviously, this game's not at Coors Field. They're playing at the Dodgers for this one, but still, we're going to give them some credit. I mean, they've looked very, very good recently. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here against the Dodgers, who are now 36 and 23 in the season after that 4-1 loss. The Dodgers handing the ball in this one to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who is 5 and 2 on the season with a 3.51 ERA, but coming off not the best start there against the Cincinnati Reds, guys. He went 5 innings, he gave 6 hits and 4 earned runs. Maybe he didn't enjoy pitching in that ballpark. I'm not sure, but man, he didn't really enjoy pitching at San Francisco either. At Arizona, he looked pretty decent, but he did give up 5 hits over 6 innings, so some bad things could have happened to him in that start. Overall, though, the dude's been very, very good this season, and the Dodgers bullpen has also been excellent, guys. They're the 2nd best bullpen in the major league, so that's something to look at in this game for sure. The Dodgers offense, obviously coming off of an off night, but in general, have been pretty good. I mean, they scored 10, 3, and 5 runs against the Mets, so good, but not necessarily dominant. I mean, when you're paying this much money for an offense, it's a little bit depressing to see them have nights where they get only 1 run or get shut out. So in general, not super high on their offense right now, although obviously it's one of the best offenses in baseball. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Dodgers at minus 340, the Rockies at plus 280. We've got an over-under in this game of 8. We see Colorado is 7 and 21 on the road. The Dodgers are 19 and 10 at home, but guys, I'm leaning towards the Colorado Rockies plus 280 in this game. I know, this is crazy. It's not going in the pinned comment, but I think there's some merit to it. The Dodgers look like they're poised to have another little slump here, and with Quantrill out on the mound, I think the Rockies are in a pretty respectable spot. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.